tonight on Y News. PNP Chief Director General Ronald De La Rosa inspects firecracker stalls in Bocaue, Bulacan ahead of the New Year revelry. Authorities investigate CCTV footages for the cause of the twin explosions in Hilongos, Leyte last night.
The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas extends the demonetization of old banknotes to March 2017. NDRRMC confirms 3 fatalities and millions worth of damage in the aftermath of Typhoon Nina.
The world's highest bridge opens to traffic in China. And Kuya Daniel Razon invites supporters abroad for the special screening of Isang Araw, Ikatlong Yugto.
Good evening. Police Chief Ronald De La Rosa personally inspects firecracker stalls in Bocaue, Bulacan. During the inspection, the PNP confiscated a bulk of firecrackers. Bernard Dadis will tell us why.
Police Chief Director General Ronald De La Rosa was in Bocaue, Bulacan this morning to inspect the row of firecracker stalls ahead of the New Year revelry. De La Rosa held a demonstration of confiscated illegal firecrackers from Santa Maria and Bocaue. The PNP chief says firecrackers such as Goodbye De Lima, Goodbye Philippines, Kabasi, Piccolo, Pacquiao Trauma, Super Lolo, Atomic Bomb, and Og Thunder are prohibited types of firecrackers because their measurements and the weight of explosive chemicals are beyond the allowable standard. But in the middle of the demo, a firecracker suddenly sparked and released fumes while on De La Rosa's hand. It caused chaos from the audience. De La Rosa immediately threw the firecracker away. Police personnel followed to wet the sparking firecracker.
Bahala na kung kantsawan nyo ako na tumakbo ako. Okay lang sa akin yun. Pati kayo tumakbo, iniwan nyo mga kamera nyo, di ba? Okay. Patas lang tayo. Nakatakot eh. Umusok bigla, di ba? Napakalakas ng power nung rebintador na yun.
The rest of the seized firecrackers were then destroyed by soaking into a drum of water. Authorities constantly remind the public, especially the youth, to avoid using firecrackers that could lead to accidents.
Dapat matuto na tayo, no? Tsaka itong mga negosyante dapat huwag lang isipin yung profit lang nila. Dapat isipin nila yon dahil pag madisgrasya, kawawa.
Bernard Dadis, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Authorities are now investigating the cause of the explosion in Hilongos, Leyte last night. Aga Kaakbay will tell us why.
Authorities have identified persons of interest linked to last night's double explosions in a town plaza in Hilongos, Leyte. However, the police are still investigating to verify their identities and the motive behind the blast through the CCTV footages recovered in the area. The Philippine National Police has created a task force to handle the investigation. Most of the victims were males who were watching a boxing match in the plaza when the explosion happened. Currently, all 32 wounded are still recuperating in the hospital. 5 of them are in critical condition. Based on initial investigation, 2 improvised explosive devices located near the municipal hall were detonated.
Based on the initial investigation conducted by EODT Region 8, it was established na yung ginamit na sa bomb explosion is si 81mm mortar which was detonated through cell phone.
Aga Kaakba, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines believes that the Bangsamoro Islamic Freedom Fighters and Maute Group are responsible for the recent series of bombings across the country. AFP spokesperson Colonel Edgar Arevalo explains this is because the government's anti-drug war has seriously affected them.
Sapagkat nasasaktan na po ang grupo ng Maute, ang grupo ng BIFF po sa kanilang operasyon, lalong-lalo na ang hinggil sa droga o ang kanilang pondo na nanggagaling buhat sa droga.
The AFP vows to continuously monitor the situation. It also urges the public to remain vigilant, especially when in crowded areas.
The Bureau of Fire Protection will utilize the MMDA Metro Base as their coordinating center in the coming year-end celebration. Joanna will tell us why.
The Metro Manila Development Authority and the Bureau of Fire Protection met earlier for the strict monitoring of any accident that may occur during the New Year celebration. Starting December 31 to January 1, a number of BFP personnel will station at MMDA Metro Base 24 hours a week to monitor the situation in Metro Manila through MMDA CCTV cameras. This aims to intensify and hasten the response of authorities to possible incidences of fire, especially since many are expected to use fireworks this season.
Ang gagawin po namin, constant coordinations, constant relay of informations doon sa mga respective stations, lalo na pag mayroong mga emergency.
The BFP also reminds the public to refrain from using firecrackers that usually cause fire. BFP says it would be better to just watch public fireworks display or use alternative noisemakers to avoid any accidents. Meanwhile, MMDA warns against illegal parking on roads that usually causes delays in the response of firefighters to fire incidents.
Babasagin namin yung salamin niya. You know, because that's a obstruction ka eh. I mean, the very simplest form, itotow ka namin kaagad. But if there's a fire and you're there, sorry ka.
The MMDA, however, clarifies that it's just a proposal and they still need to study it carefully before implementing it. The MMDA is now studying the possible strict penalties to car owners illegally parking their vehicles on roads during emergency situations. Jo Nano, UNTV News and Rescue, Makati City.
The Manila International Airport Authority assures the public that there will be enough airport personnel during days when the highest number of airport passengers is expected. Joyce Balancho will tell us why.
The Manila International Airport Authority or MIAA expects the highest number of passengers here in AIA tomorrow and 2 weeks after January 1st, since many of our kababayans are expected to come back here in their work in Metro Manila after the long holiday. MIAA General Manager Ed Monreal says airport authorities are now ready to provide service to passengers this holiday season. He has ensured that check-in counters will be properly manned and there are enough security personnel to make sure that banned items will not get past the security screens.
We have been on high alert since the start of this holiday season. So wala ho kaming idadagdag pa unless we feel something that is necessary.
Airlines are also using bigger airplanes to accommodate more passengers. Monreal adds, traffic congestion will not be a problem since they are now implementing stricter regulations. They're also monitoring instances of taxis that are taking advantage of passengers by asking for higher fares.
Meron ho kaming apprehend lang na suspected taxi driver na kahapon dahil merong biniktima hong isang Hapon na siningil ho papuntang Makati 10,000. So that was about 2 weeks ago. Pinalo up ho ng mga tao natin, ka-aresto lang ho kahapon.
Earlier, Monreal roamed around the NAIA Terminal 3 to check on the operations of the airport. He noted that stranded passengers due to Typhoon Nina were able to proceed with their flights.
They were rebooked right there and then at the time of the typhoon. Na-plat ho ng mga airlines na nabigyan ng na-accommodate ho sa ibang araw. So ganoon ang nangyari. Kaya nga right after nung pagbukas natin, kinabukasan naayos natin, nag-normalize ho kagad tayo.
Joyce Balancho, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
A strike held by the employees of DLTB bus company hampered trips, leaving angry passengers stranded. Rosa Licos will tell us why.
Employees of the DLTB bus company launched a strike beginning 9 o'clock last night in Pasay City. Nick Elman, the spokesperson of one of the labor unions holding strike, says for 3 years now, they have been asking the DLTB bus firm to implement the basic labor law and standards. Until this day, the company has no action on the matter.
Ang akala namin magkakaroon ng mahusay at productive na resulta ng pakikipag-usap. Pero to no avail, wala nangyari.
Because of the strike, the operations of the bus company in EDSA Tramo in Pasay City and nearby terminals are halted due to the protest. The strike affected travel to the Bicol region, particularly Albay, Naga, Camarines Sur, and Sorsogon, as well as to other provinces in Visayas like Samar and Leyte. One passenger says she has reserved tickets last week for her trip back to Samar. With her is a senior citizen and a person with disability. She says their trip was scheduled at noon, but the arrival of buses was delayed and even hindered by the strike.
Noong 19 pa kami nagpa-reserve ng ticket dito. Kasi ang alam namin, maganda naman tong serbisyo nila dito eh.
For now, the employees are waiting for the owner of the company to talk to them to resolve the issue and for the operation to return back to normal. But because the operation of the DLTB is suspended, several passengers have no other choice but to just refund their tickets. Other passengers decide to just wait for the operation to resume because other bus lines are still fully booked. Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Next in Y News. Search operations continue for the missing crew of the sunken MV Starlite Atlantic in Batangas.
Typhoon victims in Albay complain over shortage of relief goods.
And the Department of Social Welfare and Development finalizes the process for free medicine specifically for indigent patients in the country.
Y News will be right back.
Y News would like to thank the following.
This year, President Rodrigo Duterte's war on drugs shocked the nation and the international community.
Do not do drugs because you will be the solution to the drug crisis that has engulfed.
The president even made it to the international news with his announcement to end the country's deep-rooted ties with the U.S.
Your Honors, in this venue, I announce my separation from the United States.
Let us examine the Philippines' foreign policy under the Duterte administration on Repaso 2016.
Bago kayo napunta dyan sa Department of Agrarian Reform, napakarami hong mga batas na tinututulan ninyo. Habang hindi ito napapalitan, obligado kayo bilang DAR Secretary
na ipatupad ko habang hindi na amyendahan, hindi na re-repeal.
Exactly. Di ba habang ipinapatupad ito nitong nakaraang administrasyon, tinututulan ninyo?
Totoo po yun.
So, ngayon, kayo magpapatupad. Hindi ba niyo tututulan ang sarili ninyo?
May limitasyon lang yung magagawa ko.
Yes. Inaamin nyo nakatali ang kamay ninyo.
May pong hangganan. Yung paggalaw ng kamay ni Kapaing Mariano bilang bagong kalihim ng daan.
Ay, nakatali. Hindi pa ba kayo nagsisising tinanggap ninyo yan?
Wala naman po. Wala naman po. No further comment po.
The Volunteers Against Crime and Corruption acknowledge UNTV and Breakthrough and Milestones Productions International CEO and Chairman Daniel Razon for his generosity in supporting VACC's activities. VACC is a non-government organization which envisions a crime-free and corruption-free Philippines. With or without recognition, UNTV will continue its services for the community. To God be the glory.
Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas has given the public more time to exchange their old banknotes in line with the ongoing demonetization process. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
Due to public clamor, the BSP now extended the deadline for another 3 months. So 90 days, that would be 31 of March 2017.
The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas has announced an extension of 90 days on its demonetization of the old banknotes. According to BSP, about 2.4% or 23.3 billion peso worth of new design series banknotes or old currency bills are still in circulation in the country. BSP Deputy Director for Currency Issue and Integrity Grace Malik says the extension will give the public a chance to have their money be replaced before the old banknotes lose their value.
Ating mga cash handlers na may mga hawak na lumang pera, kung pwede ngayon na. Kung pwede ngayon, umpisahan nyo na. Huwag na intayin ng March 31.
BSP has started the use of NDS banknotes in 1985. BSP then released the New Generation Currency or NGC banknotes in 2010, which is the current legally tendered currency bills in the country. BSP reminds the public to file complaints in the event that banks refuse to replace their old banknotes. A sanction will be given to those who will not be following the order. Meanwhile, the New Generation Currency printed last December 21 are already with the signature of President Rodrigo Duterte. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Philippine Coast Guard will also ask for the help of the survivors to locate the missing crew members of MV Starlite Atlantic. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
The Philippine Coast Guard has yet to determine the exact location of the sunken MV Starlite Atlantic. The agency says they will ask for the help of the survivors in identifying its possible location. There are 14 survivors including the captain of the ship, while one crew member was confirmed dead.
Una-una, hindi pa natin ma-pinpoint kung saan talaga lumubog yung barko. Yun ang isa nating naalam ngayon. Una-una kung saan lugar at pangalawa ay kung kagaano kalalim kung kakayanin nating masisid yung barko.
33 crew members were on board the MV Starlite Atlantic when it sank last Monday at the height of Typhoon Nina. Until now, PCG is still searching for the 18 missing crew members of the Ro-Ro vessel. For this reason, PCG has set to conduct an underwater search operation alongside the Philippine Navy to locate the missing seafarers.
Sila divers natin from Philippine Navy na mag-a-assist sa paghahanap ng barko para malaman natin kung saan talaga lumubog at kung sakasakali ay masisid at kung makita natin kung meron pa dong mga naipit o mga naiwang mga tripulante.
PCG Southern Tagalog says they have already spoken to the relatives of the victims and explained to them the steps being undertaken to find their missing loved ones.
Ina-assure natin sa kanila na ang Coast Guard at ang iba pang ahensya ng pamahalaan ay hindi tumitigil sa paghahanap sa mga kanilang minamahal na kamag-anak.
Meanwhile, the PCG is not discounting the possibility that some of the missing crew remains trapped inside the sunken ferry. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Based on the latest post-disaster report of the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council or NDRRMC, there are 3 confirmed deaths during the onslaught of Typhoon Nina. Meanwhile, the NDRRMC is still verifying reports of 10 additional fatalities. Brian De Paz will tell us why.
The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council or NDRRMC calls on local government units to submit their respective sangguniang resolutions on the declaration of a state of calamity in order for the agency to record their reports.
Ang mga nagbigay po ng sangguniang resolution sa ating council ay ang probinsya ng Batangas, ang munisipyo po ng Nauhan at Puerto Galera at Calapan City po, lahat po yan ay mula sa probinsya ng Oriental Mindoro.
During the post-disaster needs assessment conducted today, the agency has confirmed 3 deaths during the onslaught of Typhoon Nina The fatalities were from Mulanay, Quezon and Batangas.
May nakumpirma na po ang ating DILG na 3 po na namatay. 10 po ang kasalukuyan pa rin pong hinahanap. Meron pa po tayong karagdagan na 10 na fatalities na reported which is currently being verified by the Department of Health and the Department of the Interior and Local Government.
Meanwhile, damage to agriculture and infrastructure in Calabarzon, Mimaropa and Bicol is currently over than 681 million pesos. The government has allotted 48 million pesos for the victims of the typhoon. President Rodrigo Duterte, meanwhile, has given a directive to the Office of Civil Defense, or OCD, as well as to other agencies leading the rehabilitation and recovery efforts in communities badly hit by Typhoon Nina.
At ito rin na naging kautusan ng ating Pangulo na siguraduhin na agaran ng ating assistance para sa ating mga kababayan, lalo na on shelter. So ito ang sa kasalukuyan ngayon na tinutugunan ng ating Office of Civil Defense.
The agency said the delivery of shelter materials to affected areas is still ongoing. The NDRRMC said more than 37,000 families are currently taking shelter at 831 evacuation centers in Calabarzon, Mimaropa, Bicol, and Eastern Visayas region. The NDRRMC's Operation Center remains on red alert and is continuously determining on overall worth of damages caused by Typhoon Nina. Brian De Paz, UNTV News and Rescue, Camp Aguinaldo.
The Albay Power Electric Corporation says it will need around 77 million pesos to completely restore power supply in the whole of Bicol region. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
Aside from infrastructure and agriculture, power transmission lines in the Bicol region have also been damaged by Typhoon Nina. About 90% of the residents in Camarines Sur, Catanduanes, and Albay remain without power supply due to the damaged cables, utility posts, and power transmitters.
He assured us na ma-mobilize siya sa itong grupo ng mga kooperatiba, mga personnel na nakusta ng kapatiran. Task Force Kapatid na ma-direct sila. So most likely, ang problema naman sa 3rd district na ultimo ito. Ako na posting bago sa first saka 3rd district. Pero sa 2nd district, hindi man na masyado apektado.
Albay Power and Electric Corporation, or APEC, says it would need 57 million pesos for power restoration, which is aside from the 20 million peso labor cost.
Kasi hindi namin na-penetrate yung mga tinatawag na laterals, yung mga barangays na tinamahan na located sa mga bundok, malalayang lugar.
If the company could source out funds, power restoration may possibly begin in the 1st or 2nd week of January in major municipalities of the province. On the other hand, the company targets to restore power supply to towns which were not much affected by the typhoon by December 31.
Pero ang mauna, yung town centers kung tawagin, yung mga poblasyon, yung tinatawag na backbone. The rest, yung mga laterals, maybe mahuli yun.
Several engineers from electric companies and cooperatives nationwide arrived at the province to help in the power restoration in the entire Bicol region. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Victims of Typhoon Nina are starting to receive financial assistance from the government. Victor Cosare will tell us why.
Camarines Sur, Albay, Catanduanes, and Calapan City in Mindoro are now in a state of calamity after Typhoon Nina struck these areas. Thousands have been evacuated and millions of pesos in damages were reported, particularly in infrastructure and agriculture. This prompted the city government of Davao to release 11 million pesos to aid in the rehabilitation of the affected areas. A special session was conducted today by the City Council to approve the release of the said amount upon the request of Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio.
Meron na silang pinadala na mga resolution asking the local government all over the country to help them with their calamity problems. Well, rehabilitation ng kanilang lugar.
The financial aid will be sourced from the city's calamity fund since more than 18 million pesos has not yet been utilized. The law allows the use of the calamity fund for other areas that have been hit by a disaster or calamity.
This will be properly audited. This will not be just disbursed by the governor. It will be disbursed in accordance with the usual budgeting, auditing rules and regulations.
This is not the first time that Davao City did such act. Last October, the city government released 5 million pesos to help areas affected by Typhoon Lawin. Also, the city responded to help the victims of Typhoon Yolanda, Pablo, and Sendong in the past. Victor Cosare, UNTV News and Rescue, Davao City.
Several victims of Typhoon Nina in Polanqui, Albay has asked the government for additional relief goods. June Soria will tell us why.
Wala pa tabi sir, wala pa bawasan dito sir, ng mga barangay asa mga kapitan, wala pa.
Kahit relief goods?
Wala pa sir talaga. Sa barangay namin, mga kapitan namin, mga mayor, wala pa.
Victims of Typhoon Nina in Pulangi, Albay say they have not yet received relief goods from the government 3 days after Typhoon Nina devastated their area. Pulangi is also among the affected areas aside from Catanduanes and Camarines Sur. Crestita Relato was among the 88,338 persons affected by the typhoon. That figure translates to 18,965 families are reported by the Office of the Civil Defense. Local Councilor May Anfolioso says only 60% of the supposed 100% of relief goods have reached their barangay.
Lahat kami na pagbibintangan na ganito, o nasa na daw yung relief. Pinamimigay din naman talaga namin. Yun lang talaga. Gusto rin namin na mabigyan lahat. Yung ibang sobra, pinaano namin sa iba-ibang tao na mabigyan din sila.
But Pulangi Vice Mayor Herbert Bora explains the rest of the relief goods have not yet delivered to them from DSWD.
Ang total na dumating po sa amin na relief goods is 5,000 plus. Pati na po yung sa munisipyo. So in terms of distribution, dahil po ang affected families, total po 18,000. So doon pa lang, alam na po natin marami pang hindi nang bibigyan.
The Vice Mayor assures that the local government is doing its best to help the affected residents. They are also coordinating with other government agencies and NGOs for the entire recovery efforts. Jun Suriao, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The Department of Social Welfare and Development has long been assisting indigent patients avail free medicines despite not receiving yet an additional 1 billion peso fund. Rosa Licos will tell us why.
The Department of Social Welfare and Development will replace valid and updated prescriptions with guarantee letters and referrals to pharmacies and hospitals instead of cash. According to Social Welfare Secretary Judy Tagiwalo, the 1 billion peso fund for the DSWD from the Office of President Rodrigo Duterte and Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation has not been downloaded yet to the department since the guidelines for using the fund has just been finalized. However, those who cannot afford to buy medicines can avail of DSWD's assistance by presenting their valid prescription and certificate of indigency to DSWD field office.
Hopefully, mas ma-implement natin ito by the start of next year, 2017. Kahit ngayon hindi pa na-download sa department ang 1 billion na inumpisahan na ho natin ito. Kung may mga reseta ho na valid at indigent ho yung nangangailangan.
The talks for Memorandum of Understanding with major hospitals and generic drugstores that will help in the implementation are still ongoing. Currently, DSWD has signed MOUs with 6 hospitals in different areas of the country. An individual can ask for medical assistance amounting to 5 to 25,000 pesos quarterly through the recommendation of a field social worker. Above these amounts, requests have to be facilitated and approved by social welfare and development officials.
In extremely justifiable cases, the amount of assistance beyond 25,000 but not to exceed 75,000 may be granted subject to the approval of the Assistant Secretary for Protective Programs for DSWD Central Office or the Regional Director for DSWD Field Office.
Rosa Licos, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacanang.
Coming up, Mexicans react as the Mexican government announces price increase of about 20% in January.
Former women's world number 1 tennis star Ana Ivanovic announces her retirement at age 29.
Kuya Daniel invites reporters abroad for the special screening of Isang Araw, Ikatlong Yugto.
More from Y News after this break.
Pa lamang ng taon, napabalita na ang pagkakaaresto kay Marine Lieutenant Colonel Ferdinand Marcelino dahil sa possession of illegal drugs. Sa pagpasok ng bagong administrasyon, pinasimula ng mas pinag-igting na kampanya laban sa illegal na droga. Naggulat ang lahat ng isa publiko ang drug matrix kung saan nakalagay ang pangalan ng mga sangkot sa drug trade. Pinangalanan ang ilan. Kabilang na si Albuera Mayor Rolando Espinosa Sr. at ang kanyang anak na si Kerwin Espinosa.
Maraming mga mayor dito. We are running this show. It's really very sad.
Magbalik tanaw tayo at suriin natin kung ito na nga ba ang solusyon sa matagal ng problema ng bansa sa illegal na droga. Sa Ripaso 2016.
Ang inyong reklamo.
Nakakainis na kasi ilang taon na yan.
Talagang malaking sagabal sa amin yan.
Bibigyan namin ng solusyon. Kasama si Monica Viralio at Kuya Daniel Razon.
Bawal ang pikon!
Bawal ang pikon! Bawal ang pikon!
Sa panahon ng sakuna, aksidente at iba pa, kailangang mabilis ang pagdating ng tulong. Anumang oras, saan mang lugar. Kung buhay na ang nakasalalay, higit pa sa pagbabalita, inuuna ang pagtulong sa kapwa. 911 UNTV.
The tail end of a cold front is affecting the eastern section of northern Luzon. Pag-asa-Ses, Cagayan Valley, and Aurora will experience cloudy skies with occasionally heavy rains that may trigger flash floods and landslides. The regions of Hilongos and Cordillera will experience light rains, while isolated rain showers and thunderstorms will prevail over Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Small fishing vessels and sea crafts are advised not to venture in the seaboards of Luzon except in the southern part due to high waves. No tropical cyclone is seen to affect the country until the end of the year. Mexicans say they are going to feel the pinch of significantly high prices of petrol. RC Reyes will tell us why.
Mexican gasoline prices will rise by as much as 20.1% next month compared to the highest recorded prices in December as part of a program to end years of government-set prices at the pump. In a statement, the Finance Ministry said the widely used Magna gasoline brand will rise 14.2% and will sell at an average price of 15.99 pesos or 78 cents per liter at retail, while premium fuel will go up 20.1% to an average of 17.79 pesos per liter. Diesel will rise 16.5% with an average price of 17.05 pesos per liter. The ministry's price ceilings will be in effect through February 3. After that, the maximum price will be set bi-weekly until February 18 when it will be set daily.
Pues la verdad bastante trágico porque para nosotros sí nos afecta mucho ya que andamos para arriba y para abajo y pues es el combustible el que nos está dando para poder chambear y pues que nos lo suban a tal cantidad pues sí es grave, ¿no?
Analysts said the liberalization program was likely to have an impact on inflation, which has already passed the central bank's 3% target due to a sharp peso depreciation.
La verdad está mal, ¿no? No se ponen a pensar lo que nos afecta, ¿no? Como familia, digo, nos suben los impuestos, sube lo que es la parte de la comida, o sea, todo se empieza a elevar y pues con el salario que nos acaban de aumentar el mínimo, pues realmente no alcanza, ¿no? No alcanza para una canasta básica. Entonces sí estamos en totalmente desacuerdo, ¿no? En esta alza.
Gasoline prices in Mexico are higher than in the United States, where market prices prevail. And Pemex loses about $3 billion a year importing gasoline into Mexico, according to Nomura analyst. Arce Reyes, UNTV News and Rescue, Latin America.
15 persons were arrested in Australia while 3 individuals were detained in China over smuggling. Dulce Alarcon will tell us why.
In Australia, Australian police on Thursday says they had brought down a cocaine syndicate after seizing an estimated 360 million Australian dollar worth of cocaine in 2 drug busts since March. The announcement comes after police seized 500 kilograms of cocaine on December 25th during a night raid on boat in Brooklyn, a town north of Sydney in New South Wales. Police says they believe the syndicate involved was also linked to 600 kilograms of cocaine that was seized in Tahiti in March.
The size of those 2 cocaine seizures individually places them both in the top 10 cocaine seizures in Australian history. The size of that seizure collectively, 1.1 tonnes, makes it the largest cocaine seizure in Australian law enforcement history.
Police said they have arrested 15 people allegedly involved in the syndicate over the past few days in different suburbs of Sydney and have charged them with drug importation offences. In China, Shanghai Customs recently made China's largest ever seizure of 3.1 tons of pangolin scales imported from Nigeria, state media reported on Thursday. As seen in video footages, bags of pangolin scales hidden behind timber logs were being removed out of a container and being examined by anti-smuggling police.
集装箱的外层是非洲进口的一些原木，但是内层夹藏着我国禁止进出口的穿山甲、野生的穿山甲鳞片。
3 suspects were detained and further investigation is underway. Pangolins, nocturnal scaly anteaters which spend most of their days curled up in a ball asleep, are in great demand in China, where their meat is considered a delicacy and their scales believed to hold medicinal properties. Dulce Alarcon, UNTV News and Rescue, Jilin, China.
A woman has died at the scene of a pileup involving 20 cars on Wednesday on a major road in Oxfordshire, England. Authorities said thick fog created treacherous conditions for motorists, thus the accident. The woman driver was declared dead at the scene. 2 other victims, a woman who suffered life-threatening injuries and a man who sustained serious but non-life-threatening injuries, are now being treated at a nearby hospital. 15 others were treated for minor injuries at the scene inside a South Central ambulance service. Authorities said 6 cars were seriously damaged and up to 15 others were involved across a 1-kilometer stretch of the road. In other news, China gains another achievement with the opening of another mega infrastructure project. Nina Armilio will tell us why.
The world's highest bridge, rising nearly 570 meters above a valley, has opened in southwest China on Thursday. The Guizhou Transport Authority says with a height equivalent to a 200-story building, the Beipanjiang Bridge, linking southwest China's Yunnan and Guizhou provinces, is the highest in the world by the vertical distance from the bridge deck down to the ground or water surface beneath the bridge span. The conclusion is made based on public data of high bridges that have been completed across the globe. The structure, spanning the Beipanjiang Valley, is part of Highway, Hangzhou City in East China's Zhejiang Province, and Ruolis City in Yunnan. The construction of the 1,341-meter-long cable-stayed suspension bridge started in 2013, costing about 1 billion yuan or about $150 million. The construction of the main span of the bridge was completed in early September this year. Nina Armilio, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Former women's world #1 tennis star Anna Ivanovic announces retirement. June Garin will tell us why.
Former French Open champion Anna Ivanovic announced her retirement from tennis at the age of 29 on Wednesday because she no longer feels fit enough to compete at the highest level. Ivanovic became the first Serbian woman to win a Grand Slam tournament when she beat Russian Dinara Safina in the 2008 French Open final, following in the footsteps of compatriot Novak Djokovic, who clinched the Australian Open title the same year. Her French Open victory catapulted Ivanovic to the summit of the WTA Tour rankings, but she only occupied top spot for a few weeks and dropped to 22nd at the end of 2009 after a dramatic loss of form. She returned to the top 5 in 2014 and reached the French Open semifinals in 2015, but slipped out of the leading 60 this year after losing to little-known Czech Denisa Alretova in the US Open first round, her final match on the WTA Tour. Striking a happy figure as she announced her retirement with a smile in a live address to her fans, Ivanovic also revealed her future plans. Ivanovic, the world number 63, married former Germany soccer international Bastian Schweinsteiger this year. June Garin, UNTV News and Rescue, Paris, France.
Michael Jordan gets in the Forbes wealthiest celebrities list for 2016. Meanwhile, Rafael Nadal is confident for a big comeback in 2017. Aga Kakbay tells us why.
Rafael Nadal says he hopes to avoid injury and climb his way back to competitive tennis in 2017.
I feel happy to be back on the competition. You know, always being back, being away from competition is tough. The comebacks are not easy, but I think I practiced a lot at home in Mallorca, and I practiced well. So I am excited to start the new season and see how the things are going.
The Spaniard was limited by a wrist injury, but hopes for a healthy comeback next year.
Main goal is being healthy. You know, if you are healthy, then the rest of the things still difficult, but not impossible.
Nadal's last Grand Slam title was the French Open in 2014, which he won for an astonishing record-breaking 9th time. The 14-time Grand Slam winner is currently enjoying being world number 9. Meanwhile, Forbes has come up with its richest celebrities 2016 list. The wealthiest of them all include former #1 golfer Tiger Woods, who sits in the 7th place and is the youngest person on the Forbes Top 20 list, with a net worth estimated at $740 million. Another American golfer, Phil Mickelson, lands 18th, with an estimated worth of $375 million. And basketball's greatest 53-year-old Michael Jordan, who retired in 2003, is worth $1.2 billion, which is good for sitting on the 4th spot. Forbes says eligibility for the list was limited to United States citizens who are rich because of their fame, rather than famous because they are rich. According to Forbes, President-elect Donald Trump belongs in the latter category. Aga Kakbay, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Supporters around the world should watch out for the special screening of Kuya Daniel's advocacy film, Isang Araw, Ikatlong Yugto. Eileen Ciliano will tell us why.
Kuya Daniel Razon is overjoyed to be able to meet and greet our kasambahays in Melbourne, Australia after the successful screening of his advocacy film, Isang Araw, Ikatlong Yugto, last night at Crown Promenade, Melbourne. He gladly invites everyone to watch it.
Ibitahan ho namin kayo na panoorin po ninyo yung special screenings po namin, we will be announcing the places na magkasasagawa na po natin ang ating mga special screening bago po yung ating regular showing next year.
Kuya Daniel says he has lined up countries to visit for the special screening of the film. Next month, he's set to visit the United States. This is the first premiere showing of the film outside of the Philippines. That's why our kasambahays here in Australia are overwhelmed to watch the advocacy together with the director, writer, and the main actor himself, Kuya Daniel Razon. Several Filipinos traveled to enjoy their vacation in Melbourne, Australia. But they are even more delighted for the opportunity to watch a one-of-a-kind movie that gives inspirations and lessons that will benefit Filipinos trying their luck abroad.
Napakaganda. Kung napanood namin yung 1 at saka 2, itong 3 talagang masasabi namin the best. At sana mapanood pa to ng maraming mga tao. At napapanahon lalo na yung movie na to. Salamat at nakarating dito si Kuya Daniel sa Melbourne, Australia.
Napakaganda. Marami akong natutuhan doon. Di ba? Napakaganda. Kaya wala na akong nakikitang sinihan na ganitong nagbibigay sa akin ng magandang aral tungkol sa Panginoon.
Others traveled from the Middle East, Hong Kong, and the Philippines.
May isang araw pa, tsaka may isang araw na lang at may uling araw.
Alin Soliano, UNTV News and Rescue, Melbourne, Australia.
Those are the reasons behind the news, December 29, 2016. I'm Angelo Castro III.
Reasons we delivered to you as they unfold. I'm Gerry Alcantara.
And I'm Darlene Basingan, because we need to know.
You will always ask why. Thank you for watching Why News. One of the newsmakers this year is the landmark ruling of the International Tribunal on the Law of the Sea on the West Philippine Sea dispute in favor of the Philippines. Despite the ruling, China continues its activities on the disputed islands.
The Philippines welcomes the issuance today of the award by the Arbitral Tribunal constituted by the Permanent Court of Arbitration under Annex 7 of the 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Seas, or UNCLOS, on the arbitration proceedings initiated by the Philippines with regard to the South China Sea.
Let us trace back the developments on the West Philippine Sea dispute in Repaso 2016.